I want to live for my homeland. I don't want to die for. But not to take any risk, not to take any danger. It's impossible.
Samen met Alexander Blom, programmamaker, en Alina Griachenko reis ik door Israël. In het onderzoeksprogramma Israël in Focus bezoeken we plaatsen die bijna dagelijks in het nieuws komen. Zogeheten nieuwsfeiten waar iedereen wel een mening over heeft. Ga met ons mee op zoek naar het menselijke verhaal achter de krantenkoppen. In het nieuws hoor je regelmatig over nederzettingen als het over Israël gaat. Je hoort over kolonisten, je hoort over het feit dat de bezette westelijke Jordaanoever een obstakel is voor de vrede. We gaan vandaag op bezoek bij Daniella Weiss. Daniella is oud-burgemeester van Kedumim, een klein dorpje in Samaria. Dus in het noorden eigenlijk van de zogenaamde westelijke Jordaanoever. En Daniella is een van de mensen die zich juist inzet om die nederzettingen, die dorpen in die gebieden te ontwikkelen en ook nieuwe dorpen te stichten. De zogenaamde Hilltop Youth Movement, jeugd die nieuwe dorpen sticht in deze regio. Daar is zij eigenlijk een van de inspiratoren van. We gaan haar ontmoeten en ik ben ook heel benieuwd wat haar drijft om dwars tegen die tendens in te gaan en de mening van dat het een obstakel is voor de vrede, om toch te doen wat zij doet. Hello, Daniella.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Hi, I'm Sarah.
Daniella. Do come in, please.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thank you very much.
Yeah. You're most welcome.
And you have a beautiful house, I must say.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think Kedumim is a beautiful place to live.
Kedumim is a beautiful place to live, no doubt. I would say the most prominent story about Kedumim is that it's the first Jewish community to be established in the entire area of Samaria after the 60 War, after the liberation of these regions.
And when did you come to live here?
We came here with the first families.
Yeah.
We were one of the first 10 families.
When was this?
It was in December 75, many years ago, 47 years ago. And I came here with my husband and with 2 little girls. And now we have a very big family already. We have more children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And they all live around in the new communities that were established in Yehuda and Shomron.
People in the whole world see you as a threat to the peace in this region. How is that for you?
I think that right here, where you're sitting, where I'm sitting, on the mountain of Samaria, this is the birthplace of the Jewish nation. It's here in Sikhem, it's in Shiloh, Jerusalem, Hebron.
It's all biblical
Jericho.
places actually.
This is everything that is Jewish stemmed from the soil here. People say that we are an obstacle to peace. The relevant question is different. What makes people think that we are an obstacle to peace?
The fact that this is supposed to be a Palestinian state and the fact that you're building villages here is defending it. That's the argument.
You say the fact that it is to be a Palestinian. What fact? I'm speaking about things that are unanimous to all people who read the Bible. The Jewish nation was established here. This is a fact. Then, in the course of history, people took from the Jews their story and interpreted it in different ways.
Yeah.
Who gave them the license to do it? Who gave people the license to take our story and distort it? This is the legitimate question you ask. But the fact is that it is to be a Palestinian says, who said so?
The international community says so.
Okay, today. So they can say anything.
Would you say that the Bible is the only reason that you want to live here?
The only reason I want to live here is because of the story of the Bible. Yes, you hit the person who doesn't look for other interpretations.
So no international law, no
they come,
things,
they
only
come,
the Bible.
Only the Bible. And I always like to compare things to domestic things, to things of family. I am not looking for reasons why I am loyal to my husband. Yes, I love him and we have common children. We have a contract. I go by this contract. And this contract holds in times of trouble and in happy moments. So is this the reason you are with your husband, and not because of love, and not because you have a family, and not because you have aspirations of this kind or another? No, we have a contract. So we have a contract with God, and this is the Bible, and we go by it. All the other things are on the side, secondary.
Niet ver buiten Kedumim is een nieuwe Joodse settlement. En daar rijden we nu naartoe. Daniella geeft ons vandaag een inkijkje bij een groep mensen waar we in het nieuws heel veel over horen, maar die nauwelijks aan het woord komen. Wie zijn ze? Wat geloven ze? En wat is hun visie op het conflict? Vanuit Bijbels oogpunt is het heel duidelijk. Ze zegt, ik ben Joods, dit land is aan het Joodse volk gegeven en daarom heb ik het recht om hier te wonen, om dorpen te stichten en gewoon mijn leven te leiden als Jodin hier, of al die Joodse families. Maar ja, je hebt ook zoiets als internationaal recht en die zegt in dit geval heel wat anders. Die zegt van Joden hebben niet het recht om hier te bouwen, of Israëli's hebben niet het recht om hier settlements of nederzettingen te bouwen. Want dit is bedoeld als een eventueel toekomstige Palestijnse staat. Dus dat is eigenlijk heel erg moeilijk met elkaar te rijmen. Je hebt aan de ene kant die Bijbel. Duizenden jaren geleden zijn die beloften gegeven aan het Joodse volk. Maar zijn die dan vandaag nog geldig? En hoe zit het dan met de claims van de Palestijnen op gebieden hier in Judea en Samaria? Een hele lastige kwestie eigenlijk. De discussie over dit gebied is een juridische knoop die moeilijk te ontwarren is. De EU en de internationale gemeenschap pleiten voor een twee-staten-oplossing en ze zeggen dat dit een Palestijnse staat moet worden. Argumenten daarvoor horen we dagelijks in de media. Maar om een goed gefundeerde mening te vormen, moet je ook de andere kant van het verhaal kennen. En daarvoor praat ik met Sondra Barras. Ze is jurist en gespecialiseerd in de regio. Ze is zelf Joods en woont ook in Samaria, de zogeheten westelijke Jordaanoever. En zij betoogt dat er niet alleen bijbelse gronden zijn voor Joden om er te wonen, maar dat er ook sterke juridische argumenten zijn. Ik ontmoet haar niet ver van Kedumim. The international community is saying that the area that we are sitting right now is illegally occupied by Jewish people. What is your viewpoint on that?
Actually, under international law, Israel has the senior claim to this area. And it actually goes back to the Balfour Declaration and the Treaty of San Remo just after World War I.
Can you explain what is Balfour Declaration?
Okay, the Balfour Declaration was a declaration by the British government in the middle of World War I, declaring that this area would be set aside, this area meaning all of Israel as we know it today and all of Jordan as we know it today, would be set aside for a Jewish homeland and called for close settlement of Jews throughout the area. At the end of World War I, the British were given this area, as I said, all of Israel, all of Jordan as we know it today, as a mandate. And that mandate called for the British to establish a Jewish homeland here and to enable close settlement throughout the area. Now things happened, things moved on. In 1948, Israel became a state, okay? However, immediately upon Israel's declaration of a state and actually being recognized as a state by the international community, the 5 Arab nations immediately invaded Israel. And as a result, there were no boundaries set at that time for Israel. Because in order to set a boundary that is internationally recognized, you have to have a treaty between the both countries at either side of the lines.
But there was no treaty.
No treaty, because as much as Israel was happy to sit and negotiate, the Arabs were absolutely unanimous. All the Arab nations were unanimous in not being willing to even recognize Israel in even the smallest little piece of the land of Israel. At the end of the War of Independence in 1949, Jordan was in what we call now Judea and Samaria. And there was a line drawn. It was a ceasefire line, an armistice line. That line merely reflected where the armies stood at the point that the ceasefire was declared. But again, none of the countries were willing to agree to any kind of negotiated border, and therefore that line that people very often refer to as the Green Line was never a border. Okay? Now, what happened was that Jordan annexed this area, and they called it the West Bank. But that annexation was never internationally recognized, never became part of international law. The only 2 countries in the world that recognized Jordan's claim to that area were Great Britain and Pakistan.
Really? Yeah.
Now, years later, in 1967, Jordan attacked Israel from this very area. And Israel repelled that attack and then, in response, drove the Jordanians out of Judea and Samaria, east of the Jordan River, which is where they are today. Now, under international law, because Israel was attacked by Jordan, it had every justification to repel that attack and indeed to take over the area from which they were attacked.
That's good, no problem. So Daniella, what is the place that you are taking me now?
This is a new outpost. The name of it is Givat Chemed.
Givat Chemed.
It means a lovely hill.
Lovely hill.
You decide if it's lovely or not.
It's a lovely hill, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is actually how we start a town. These are the first steps.
Yeah.
And you can see here, you speak about hilltop youth. This is the hilltop.
Can we go in there or is it impolite?
I'll ask.
שלום.
אפשר, את אחראית על כל השכונה? לא. את חושבת שנצטרך לשאול אנשים אם יסכימו שהילדים יהיו זה... מה? אמא שלך הסכימה?
Hello. Shalom. Can we come in here? Yeah? תודה.
תודה לך. זהו. אני לא לוקחת שום סיכון.
So who is living here? It's you?
כאן איילת ובעלה ושלושה ילדים. And Ayelet and husband and three kids, and you see here.
Okay. So this is the living room here. This is the kitchen.
Right. See how big it is.
The kitchen is bigger than my kitchen.
They started here, so everything was just this little square.
Yeah.
That was the bedroom, the children's room, the kitchen, everything.
You made it bigger.
הקיר היה כאן.
The wall was here.
אז כל זה חדש.
All this is new.
עד עכשיו כמעט 8 חודשים. אז היינו...
For 8 months, just for you to understand the stages, for 8 months they lived just in this little square. And then they added a little here, and then a little here, so now they have a living room and a kitchen, and then we'll see the nursery.
Yeah. That's where we're going now, okay?
כאן היה לנו קיר, כאן היה וילון לשירותים, כאן היה עוד מיטת קומותיים, וזהו.
That was everything. Now they put down another wall, and then they put there a bathroom, and now the little ones are here and here. And as you see, the children...
The 3 beds of the children.
Yes, in this room. The idea is to begin life in a very, very small, limited conditions, very small place, very limited conditions. And we believe that this is the way to redeem the land. We build a new outpost, and then we develop it, and then there are many more houses, and then we go to another hill and to another hill. So they wanted very much to get to know the hilltop youth, Noar Gvot. So this is a hilltop.
This is a hilltop
baby. If we benefit by benefiting the country, we benefit. That the children grow to be good Jews, devoted to our homeland, and devoted to everything that is Jewish.
You call it redeeming the land, huh?
Right, of course.
Why does the land need redemption?
Because we were in diaspora. For 2,000 years we weren't here. We were exiled, and we were longing to return. And one of the interesting stories in history is how Jewish leaders tried to convince the nations of the world to let us return to our homeland. One of the most famous one is Herzl, who tried to go from one place to the other among the nations of the world and to convince to let us return. And they wouldn't let us. Although the land was as bare, as desolate as possible, very sparse population. Yet we didn't get permission. Why? Easy to ask, hard to answer. Inexplicable.
Yeah.
And then we returned step by step, step by step. This is redeeming the land. Building one little tent, and then a little shack, and then a little trailer, and then expanding a bit, putting down one wall, building another room, then there is another little baby, and the land is being redeemed. You were at my home, you see my home, and my conditions were exactly as these ones. And then it changed in the course of years. And I remember the moment, Ayelet, when my daughter came to my husband and said to him, "Daddy, we are going to redeem another hill." So my husband said, "What's wrong with Kedumim? We are a beautiful place." So she said to him, "Yes, but we want to redeem another one which is completely bare." So this is the process.
What I hear a lot of people saying in the news, in politics, everywhere, is that the fact that Jewish people are building in this region, which is called by them the occupied West Bank, by you Judea and Samaria, that the fact that you are building here is an obstacle to a possible future two-state solution. What is your answer to that?
Is it really logical that when a Jewish family builds a house, tends a garden somewhere on land that doesn't belong to an Arab, there's no Arab family that has ever farmed that land or has claim to that land, how could that possibly be an obstacle to peace?
That's what everybody is saying, right?
Well, they're wrong. I mean, think of it. You come here, you come and visit us in Judea and Samaria. I don't know if you realize, I built a home here almost 40 years ago. The people who built my home were Arabs. They were very happy to build my home because they got a lot of money for building my home. And many of them lived in villages down the road, across the road, etc. And when I built my home, there had not yet been any intifadas, and we could go in and out of these villages, and we had friendly relationships. Unfortunately, there was a very extreme element that entered here into Palestinian society and unfortunately brainwashed a lot of people away from this idea of coexistence is the best way to bring peace. Today, thank God, that's coming back. Because what you'll find today in Palestinian society, more and more Arabs are disgusted with their own leadership. They see corruption. They see billions of dollars that have been poured in to the Palestinian leadership and to the Palestinian Authority, and that money is not trickling down to the people. A friend of mine is a plumber, and he does a lot of work on construction sites around Judea and Samaria, and he works very closely with Arab builders. He told me a story. He said he was with an Arab colleague, somebody he works with all the time, and they were working in a community, and the Arab pointed out to a playground with nice trees and really a nice area. And he said, you know what, I'm jealous of you. So my friend said, why? He says, your local government builds playgrounds for children, plants trees. Do you realize the Palestinian Authority hasn't planted a single tree to benefit us in our villages? I hear those kinds of statements from Palestinians over and over again. They look at us and they want to be part of who we are. They want to benefit from the type of democracy and respect that our government has for its citizens.
But they're not part of it.
Unfortunately, from political reasons, they're not. The Palestinian Authority asserts control over their lives, and they're, frankly, too frightened to come out publicly and say, we would rather be Israeli citizens. The Palestinian leadership has made it very clear over and over again. The Palestinian state must be empty of Jews. Now, I know one other leader that talked about a place being empty of Jews, and that was Hitler, who decided Europe would be empty of Jews, and he called it Judenrein. And Abbas, who, by the way, is a Holocaust denier, is looking for the exact same agenda.
He's the president of the
He's
Palestinian
the president
Authority.
of the Palestinian Authority, and he is saying there will be no Jews in my Palestinian state. So what kind of peaceful coexistence is that all about? I am in favor of a possible Palestinian autonomy within the confines of the State of Israel. I'm in favor of improving the lives of the Palestinians, but again, it's a two-way street. They have to come towards with us in trust and with a full renouncing of terrorism. If we cannot deal at that level, then there's nothing to talk about.
You chose to come and live here in a new village on a hilltop, even though the international community is saying that this is illegal and that you are not allowed to do so. So why do you do it?
האדמות האלה הן אדמות מדינה, שהן שייכות לקדומים בטאבו. והמון המון שנים רוצים לקבל פה אישורים ולנסות לעשות דברים בצורה חוקית ומסודרת. אבל מאוד מאוד מקשים ולא נותנים אישורים. ולמרות שהאדמה הזאת היא אדמת מדינה ששייכת לקדומים, ליישוב שבעתיד יוכל לבנות עליה עוד שכונה, הערבים מתחילים להשתלט. אם אנחנו לא נמצאים פה, הערבים מגיעים והם פשוט משתלטים. התחלנו למצוא בקצה עצי זית קטנים שרואים ששתלו אותם עכשיו. אנחנו רואים אותם מגיעים עם מסעיות, והם פשוט באים ובונים. וזה לא מעניין אותם שזה אדמות מדינה ששייכות לקדומים. הם באים ובונים, ואנחנו מפסידים את האדמות.
Have you ever been concerned about the safety of your children?
כן, כמובן, אנחנו ערניים, אנחנו שומרים, ואנחנו מאמינים בהשם. הילדים בטוחים ושמחים כל כך להיות פה. והיישוב עוזר לנו, הסייר של היישוב מגיע ועושה סיורים, ואנחנו משתדלים לעשות את ההשתדלות שלנו, ואנחנו בטוחים בהשם.
So how come that you don't have contact with Palestinians or Arab people who are living here? Because you're living in the same country, you're neighbors.
יש קשר. יש פה את הכפר פונדוק הקרוב, אז הרבה יהודים הולכים, קונים שם דברים, ערבים מגיעים לבוא, לבנות ולעבוד. יש אולי קצת קשר כזה, כי באמת אנחנו גרים קרוב, אבל
אין הרבה.
נכון.
When I want to create a picture of the future of Israel, I always look backward and I see what happened to my grandparents and my parents. They started in the dunes that became Tel Aviv. It was just sand and sand and sand. No trees, no bush, no nothing. Sand dunes. So I say to myself, if my grandparents and my parents and my husband's family, if they had the energy, the vision, the hope, the strength to start from scratch, literally, then what we do is easy already. So we are basing our deeds on the success of prior generations. I go further to the past and I say, here I'm sitting, I see the city of Sikhem, Nablus. I see the Mount of Eval and Mount Gerizim, and I know that here on this mount, Joshua, the great Jewish leader, brought the 12 tribes, our tribes, from the eastern part of the Jordan River to this part here on this very hill. And here we swore our loyalty to the land of Israel. I see the future the way Joshua saw the future, and the same way that my parents and grandparents saw the future. They look backward, they say they had difficulties. This is our destiny. This is our fate. We have difficulties, we cope with difficulties, and we overcome difficulties. And whoever thinks that can be done differently doesn't understand the nature of the Jewish people and Jewish history.
This place is also a dangerous place, not always safe, huh?
But when we have a purpose, we take upon ourselves also these situations of dangers. My own family suffered a lot from Arabs. My father was wounded by an Arab who attacked him while driving a motorcycle. He was severely wounded in his leg. My daughter lost her husband in a terror attack. He was murdered. He was a high officer and was murdered at his home. And my daughter became a widow at the age of 22. She had a 2-year-old daughter whom she saved in the last second. His parents also were murdered in this attack. His grandfather was murdered in this attack. And never has there crossed a thought through our minds to stop our pioneering mission. We take my father was wounded near Tel Aviv. My family was murdered here, not far from here. So wherever we go, there are dangers. Now, I'm not speaking about road accidents. I'm speaking about national and terror dangers. And I say it to myself, and I say to my children, a coward dies many times in his life. a person with courage, if he gets killed, it's once. So why get killed so many times in your life? Be courageous, do the right things. God will take care of you.
Yeah.
And if something happens, then the next generation will also be courageous.
But is it worth it if you're losing family members to terror here?
It's not worth it. But we do it because otherwise life is worthless. It's not worth. We don't want. We are ready to give our life. We are ready to die for our homeland. I want to live for my homeland. I don't want to die for. But not to take any risk, not to take any danger. It's impossible. All nations fight for the freedom, for the nation. That we should that. And I believe the more courageous one is, the less dangerous there are. I think that what we should do most is prevent our enemies from thinking that they can attack us.
Moet je kijken hoe mooi de omgeving hier is. We zijn hier omringd door prachtige bergen en deze mensen die wonen hier uit idealisme. Het lijkt bijna idyllisch of bijna romantisch zelfs, maar tegelijkertijd is dit stukje land zo omgeven door spanning. Er is een conflict, er zijn aanslagen. Er wordt gevochten letterlijk om elke centimeter land. Of het van de Palestijnen of de Arabieren is of het van de Joden is. En je ziet ook in hoe Daniella opkomt voor die rechten van de Joodse bevolking, hoe gedreven ze daarin is en hoe eigenlijk al het andere moet wijken. Het enige wat zij zegt is, dit is Bijbelsland, het is gegeven aan het Joodse volk en dat is de reden dat wij hier wonen en dat wij hier bouwen. En ja, dan kan iedereen er wel een mening over hebben en dat heeft iedereen. De hele wereld heeft er een mening over, de VN, Europa, ieder land. Maar wij zijn hier, want dit land is ons door God gegeven. Het is een heel dubbel gevoel eigenlijk. Als christen geloof ik ook dat God het land aan het Joodse volk heeft gegeven. En tegelijkertijd is dit ook gewoon de dagelijkse realiteit waar deze mensen in leven. En voor ons in het comfortabele Nederland is dat misschien allemaal helemaal niet zo makkelijk te begrijpen.